An assassination attempt on former President Trump, raising questions about election safety. Tonight, ABC15 talking with state officials about what's being done to prevent any more political violence. Strong monsoon storms causing severe damage and flooding in parts of Arizona. The impact they had, plus our ABC15 forecasters looking at your storm chances tonight. A battle to prevent any more children from dying in hot cars. At least 10 children have already died this year. Steps being taken by automakers so that number does not increase. And a National Guard member uplifting Arizona tonight. How he's following his dreams by trading in his wings for a golf club. But first at 6, we are picking up coverage from ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir. This investigation on the very latest after an assassination attempt of former President Donald Trump. And that shooting not far from the minds of Republican delegates tonight as they officially nominate Trump and his running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, at the Republican National Convention taking place in Milwaukee.
The ABC15 Political Team has team coverage tonight. We're going to take a closer look at Trump's running mate, where he comes from, and what he stands for. Plus, following Saturday's assassination attempt, security at political events is expected to change. We speak with local law enforcement about how they're preparing for the months leading up to the November election and in the race for the White House. How does Saturday's shooting impact Trump on the campaign trail? We start with the latest developments in that assassination attempt in Pennsylvania.
More than 48 hours after the attack, investigators still have not identified any ideology or writings that suggest a motive, even after gaining access to the shooter's phone. The Associated Press is reporting tonight a local police officer confronted Thomas Crooks on the roof of that building, made eye contact, and retreated when Crooks pointed his rifle at him. A source with the Secret Service tells Scripps News it did not sweep the building where the shooter was perched over 160 yards from where Trump was speaking, and blames local law enforcement for not doing so ahead of time. Scripps News reached out to Pennsylvania State Police for comment. We have yet to hear back.
As the FBI investigates the attempted assassination plot, police are investigating the murder of an innocent spectator at that rally. Husband and father of two, 50-year-old Corey Compouture. His family posted tributes online after his death. Today, he's being called a hero.
And we continue now with our team coverage and what happens moving forward from a politics standpoint.
Rachel Louise Just with our ABC15 Political Team joins us right now in studio with how the political world and voters have reacted to all of this. Rachel.
Javier, Katie, the last time an American president or former president faced what investigators are saying is an assassination attempt was in 1981 with President Ronald Reagan. And many see this moment as a turning point in American history. We're also looking, though, at an election year, and it may impact what we see happen in November.
Take a look at what happened.
I'm holding my breath, and I am full of emotion. It is one of those historic moments that only come along at a very rare thing.
In the aftermath of Saturday, some are calling on this to serve as a turning point for the nation and for presidential campaigns.
I mean, I'm just stammering to find words and trying to make sense of it all.
That's Stan Barnes, a longtime Republican consultant in Arizona. He says the attempted assassination should bring Americans together.
The uniting effect when Reagan was shot and how the whole country, even people that didn't like the president at the time, came together is the feeling I think we're going to have in the United States for the next day or two.
Trump's opponent, President Joe Biden, agreeing.
We cannot, we must not go down this road in America. We've traveled before throughout our history.
Biden repeatedly condemning the violence against Trump over the weekend.
It's time to cool it down. We all have a responsibility to do that.
In the campaign sphere, some politicians and political experts suggest the shooting may end up pushing Trump to victory in November.
This is the kind of thing that brings sympathy to an individual, Donald Trump, that he may not have normally.
Again, Barnes is a Republican consultant, so take that as you will. But he also says there is a caveat. Trump must conduct himself going forward with grace.
And his energy in the moment while wounded, shaking his fist and yelling fight is going to just go down as the most historic thing I have seen with my own eyes while alive on planet Earth.
Trump will be the focal point of the Republican National Convention, which begins Monday and goes through the week. Democrats will hold their convention next month in Chicago, as some continue to question President Joe Biden's fitness for another term. For ABC15's Political Team, I'm Rachel Louise Just.
Donald Trump making his vice presidential pick today. Ohio Senator J.D. Vance. Vance was a major critic of Trump in 2016, even suggested he could be, quote, America's Hitler. But he eventually changed his tune. So who is J.D. Vance? He served as a Marine, graduated from Yale Law School, and wrote a best-selling 2016 memoir called Hillbilly Elegy, where he described growing up in poverty and abuse.
I think J.D. Vance really knows how to get out there, push back on economic issues, on foreign policy issues, on cultural issues. But I don't think it's going to move the needle much in the way of votes, at least in Arizona.
So when it comes to politics, the 39-year-old opposes U.S. government involvement in foreign conflicts and supports tariffs on trade. In a statement, President Joe Biden's campaign reacting to this announcement, saying Vance will, quote, enable Trump's extreme MAGA agenda. All week, we are bringing you special coverage from the Republican National Convention. You can watch the ABC News special from Milwaukee each night starting at 7 right here on ABC 15.
Given the terrifying events from over the weekend, new tonight, we're looking into security here for both the election and if any of the presidential candidates come here to campaign. ABC 15's Josh Cristianto asks the question, does more need to be done? He's also hearing from our governor tonight.
Governor Katie Hobbs speaking for the first time on the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump over the weekend.
The attempt on former President Trump's life was a horrific act. I'm glad that he's safe, and my heart is broken for those who were injured or killed.
Hobbs, who was attending a workforce initiative event, going on to say political violence has no place in this country.
We have to come together, and we have to stop inflaming this kind of rhetoric, using this kind of rhetoric. People have to not look to violence to solve their political disagreements.
The close presidential race expected in Arizona, both Biden and Trump will likely campaign here again as we approach Election Day. We spoke with the Yavapai County Sheriff David Rhodes for his thoughts about the risk for political violence here in Arizona.
Well, it's hard to know for sure. I mean, you don't know the motivations of everybody. I think it's probably similar everywhere. The potential for political violence is probably similar everywhere.
We also asked Rhodes if law enforcement officials are doing anything differently going forward, given Saturday's shooting. There's a statewide law enforcement summit in Flagstaff on Tuesday.
You're going to have all the sheriffs and police chiefs and law enforcement leaders from around the state, and this is going to be a big topic, very big topic, about how to coordinate safety and security for these events coming up.
Rhodes says he's going to recommend political events be held indoors at the summit. Hobbs telling us with political violence at the forefront right now, she's in constant communication with law enforcement about potential threats within the state. Political divisions, she says, shouldn't keep us apart.
We need to come together and remember that we are neighbors, friends, and American citizens, all united by a love for our country.
Reporting in Phoenix, Josh Cristianto, ABC 15, Arizona.
Thank you, Josh.